What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy Joey Work from Pure Sports. We're back again, another week, another UFC fighter. This week we got knockout artist Chase, the Vanilla Gorilla Sherman. What's going on, Chase?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Good, man. First off, I really appreciate you coming on the show, taking some time out of
Mm,
your day to hang out with us.
Of course, of course.
All right, but on to some questions. This is a question that I normally ask every fighter that comes on. I'm interested to hear how they got into MMA and what was the original reason, or how did you originally start in the MMA world?
Well, I was coming to the end of my college football career, man, and once I had finished up with that, I obviously first things was first. I wanted to finish getting my degree, and then I came to the realization that after being an athlete my whole life, man, that I just couldn't go on not competing. Anymore in something. And I had a couple offers to play some arena ball, some pro arena ball and stuff, but I knew like my dreams and aspirations of being an NFL athlete was not. It wasn't going to happen just because of the sheer genetics of it. You know, I was an offensive lineman, and even though I was like 6'4", 285, 290 pounds, you know, that was not even cutting close to the size of those guys. And those guys are like 6'7", you know, three plus, and can move, you know, largest
Yeah.
human beings on the planet. And and so I was like, well, what else am I good at? What can I do? You know, and I always had a passion for fighting, and I just thought it was just like the rawest, most pure form of competition, and it's just pretty much you versus you in there, and it didn't require me being a significant like uh, specimen. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have to be 6'7", 300 something pounds to compete as a fighter. And so I just that's when I started getting into martial arts. You know, growing up where I grew up, um, it was just I grew up in a town where you got into fights growing up, man. Just people, you know, it's just what it was. Um, and I was always kind of involved in that, you know, and not because I like took pleasure in like hurting people or wanting to hurt people or anything like that, but just because of the sheer adrenaline rush of it and you know the competition and so then I started training uh, up with a couple of buddies in the Delta, North Mississippi, in this little garage, and 2 months later, I made my amateur debut, and then you know, a month after that, I went and fought for the B3 amateur heavyweight title, and I won that. And then I moved home and linked up with Alan Belcher, and found that I had some real potential in the sport, and picked it up fairly quickly. And I think it was maybe 2 years after I turned pro. Um, I got the call to the UFC, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Wow, that's a pretty awesome story. I'm pretty impressed. I know I did have Eric Anders on here. He has somewhat of a similar story as well. You know, he was a college football player. You know, he said he had he was from where he got beat up a lot as well. So that's pretty cool. All right,
Yeah,
so
Eric
yep,
actually fought V3. We fought on some same cards coming up as amateurs up in Memphis in the V3 uh, um, platform. So we fought. Yeah, I knew Eric before he even signed with the UFC as
nice. Look
well.
at that.
Yeah, yeah.
Sweet. All right, so obviously you've been fighting for a good amount of time, racked up a very impressive record. So what's kept your hunger and desire throughout your entire career?
Just knowing that I haven't reached my goals yet. You know, I haven't solidified um, my name in history. I haven't been able to do the things that I want to do. For most casual MMA fans or fight fans, or you know, there's people that are not really super involved in the sport and everyone that's involved in it. I haven't even became really a household name for most people yet, and I haven't reached the point where I want to leave the legacy that I want to leave when it's all said and done. So um, when that happens, then we'll address what the future holds for me. But as for now, there's a lot of work to be done, and I can't rest until it's finished.
I hear you. I mean, I'm gonna slightly beg to disagree that you're not a household name, but we won't
Well,
argue on the show.
well, for me, in my opinion, you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah,
I just there's a few different things that I want to accomplish that I haven't accomplished yet. So
understood. I mean, I give you a lot of credit. After your first stint in the UFC, continue working on your craft, get better, and now you display how hard you work to get to the biggest stage again. So, can you tell me a little bit about the Bare Knuckle Fight Club and how was it fighting without gloves? Did you like it? Not?
yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, man. It was kind of it had a sense of freedom to it. You kind of felt free, you didn't, even though the UFC gloves are, only 4 ounce gloves. It was just something more raw about it, and I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? I enjoyed it. There wasn't that. I don't know. There wasn't just. It was just a little bit more raw. You know what I mean? There
Yeah.
wasn't that safety blanket of knowing that somebody has gloves on or that you have gloves on. So it kind of gave it a little bit more of an edgy aspect to the fight game. And yeah, I enjoyed it. But like I said, I had a little bit different aspirations and bigger goals. So, and I had unfinished business in the UFC. And so when I got the call back to the UFC, obviously I jumped right on it. And to say it, and I'm not saying I'm not going to, won't end up going back to bare knuckle boxing because now I have unfinished business there as well because, I lost my title. Was my last bare knuckle fight, and that didn't sit easy with me. And so once I solidify my name in mixed martial arts, and then I'll move back to that, and I'll go capture that title again, and it's on that sport's only growing. So you know, go do that and get a couple big paydays and retire.
I hear you. Good for you, man. So, are you still training with American Top Team? If so, can you tell me how training there has really improved as a fighter?
And so what we I'm out of Mississippi, and so my coach is here. It used to be Alan Belcher
Yep.
MMA, and then so they ended up franchising out to American Top Team. So now it's American Top Team Mississippi, and they're the guys here are really working pretty diligently on building a huge gym for the guys in the southeast region because there's nothing here for us, man, as far as that goes. And there's like all these athletes all the way from pretty much West Louisiana all the way to the Panhandle of Florida and up to Tennessee. There's not a gym. There's not like a central hub for us. Everybody has to go travel to train. And so our coaches just bought two massive buildings and they're constructing it right now and got some good investors and some guys that own it and hopefully it's going to be a central point for a lot of these cats around this area to where we don't have to travel to train because for me that's been huge not having the bodies that I need to compete at this level that I'm at because I'm the only fighter in the UFC in Mississippi. You know what I mean? And even if you look towards Louisiana, all those guys have to travel to train too. Whether it was Dustin Poirier or Brendan Allen or you know what I mean. All those cats. We all have to find other gyms to go train at. And so once we can establish something here, that'll be great because I can stay at home and train. And so I train here at American Top Team in Mississippi, but I'm also like when I have a fight, I have to travel to train. And I just recently went and visited Sanford MMA down there in Deerfield, Fort Lauderdale, Henry Hoops Gym, Greg Jones, those guys. I went and visited it this past weekend, and man, it was the closest thing to the UFC Performance Institute that you could find. And what's really good about it is Sanford Health is the big investor for that gym. And so if an athlete gets hurt while training, it's under an umbrella of insurance. So it's covered. So like, whereas with the UFC, if we get hurt in training, you're SOL if you don't have insurance, unless it happens in the cage, then that's the only way that you're covered. And so that was big for me. And a couple other aspects about that gym was big for me. And you have everything you need, man. There's doctors on staff, therapists on staff. There's, you have the strength and conditioning and sports performance institute that's right, like connected to the building. You know what I mean? You walk through one door and you have an immaculate uh, uh, just facility. It's crazy. And so I'll be leaving next week to go finish up camp there.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
And speaking of camp, I know I see you're scheduled to fight August 21st versus Parker Porter, who is another vet, in this sport. Originally scheduled for April, but not exactly sure. But Parker backed out. And what can fans expect from Chase Sherman in this fight?
Well, yeah. So Parker ended up getting COVID,
COVID copy.
and so I had to fight Andre last minute,
Yep.
and what you can expect from me is more of what you saw last year in May when I came in when you saw
Villanueva.
when I fought, like, even though that fight was on like 6 days notice and I was coming off the couch. I put a lot of things together, and I wasn't able to do that with the fight with Andre because I completely tore my meniscus literally 5 minutes before walking out into the
Jeez.
fight. You know what I mean? I was in the back warming up and just I stepped wrong and that knee just snapped and caught, and so at that point there was nothing I could do. You know what I mean? If I told Nick or whoever was in charge, that, hey, I can't fight, 5 minutes before walking out, they'd be like, yeah, 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 you're cut. You know what I mean? Like, you're out, because being the co-main event and everything, like, it was just, man, it was terrible, terrible luck. And, it was an injury that I was plagued with the entire duration of the camp. And yeah, right before going out, man, it gave on me, which is why, like, I wasn't able to do the things that I'm capable of doing. I wasn't able to create the angles that I was able to create. I wasn't able to plant to kick. I wasn't able to do a lot of these things except for try to just straight up walk Andre down and make him fight me. And he didn't want to do that. He's a smart fighter. He's been around the game for a while, so he, much like his other fights that he had previously, he was playing the point game. And after I almost finished him in the first round, I think he hopped on his bicycle after that, and he saw that I was kind of immobilized, which is why he kept blasting that leg that was injured. And so, yep, it sucks, but I expect you to see a complete version of me, and a healthy version of me. And so I'm excited about that because I've had to bite the bullet, man. Ever since I fight, you get all these fans and these other people commenting on it and talking about how you couldn't beat a 40-year-old fighter. And you look like you were stuck in mud and you had no movement and this and that. Well, yeah, there was a reason for that. But you can't really vocalize like, oh, I was hurt, or, oh, I had this, that going on, because no one gives a shit. That's just
Yeah.
excuses. You know what I mean? And so after the fight, I went and had surgery. I had a complete meniscus tear. 25% of my ACL was torn, and then I had cartilage floating behind my patella tendon. And so went to Andrews and had surgery, and the last several weeks I've just been trying to uh, hey there.
Yep, I'm still here. Oh, he's going in and out. We may have lost Chase. No, he's coming back. He's back. All right,
Here you
sweet.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the last several weeks after surgery, I've been just trying to build up the atrophy because I'd lost, 25% of my quad. That was prior to surgery. So, I lost a lot of my legs and the muscles that go along with, being able to activate, your legs. And so that's what I've been doing. And I'm excited to get back in there. I'm excited to do that and just kind of, tell my story after it's over because I know what I'm capable of, and um, and honestly, like if I was healthy going into that fight, even though I had a week to prepare for Andre, um, he wouldn't have made it out of the first round. Hell, he barely made it out of the first round, and I only had one leg. He
Yeah.
barely won the fight, and I only had one leg. You know what I mean? And so, and that's kind of a confidence builder as well for me to get in there with a big name like that on short notice and not be healthy and know that like, hey, like this is all you had to offer. You know what I mean? That it makes you have a sense of belonging and understand that I can hang in there with some of the top dogs in the UFC, and I'm I'm excited to do that and have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. And so also too, like with the therapy after the surgery, man, and not being able to do much physically, I really did some soul searching, man, and just started diving into the mental aspect of the game and really training my mind and getting everything firing off on all those cylinders because this is such a mental game. It's MMA is the most mental sport there is, over any other individual sport, whether it's golf or, whether you're a closeout pitcher for the MLB or whatever the case may be. And so I really had to figure out what it is that's adhering me from accomplishing what I know I'm capable of. And 95% of it was, up here. And, and so when this is right, man, I mean, I don't feel like there's many people in the world that can hang with me. I mean, you seen when I went out there with Ike and and what I did there and the performance I put on there, just because my mental headspace was just it was good. I didn't have a care in the world. I was just happy to be back. And even though I had 6 days to prepare for a fight, after not fighting an MMA fight in over a year, not doing any training whatsoever for probably 2 months, because it was in the middle of COVID and everything was shut down. To go out there and do what I did and accredit it to my mind frame, it really started making me think like, hey, I got to get this right, and everything else will follow. And you see that with any athlete, man. I mean, you listen to any podcasts with other athletes, or you read their autobiographies or listen to their interviews, and whether it's like Michael Jordan or Tom Brady or whoever else it may be, they all have one thing in common. And that was their thought process and their belief in themselves and what they did to keep that sharp because once doubt sets in and once you convince yourself otherwise, man, it's like what I mean? It's a seed, man. It's a parasite, and it just starts to eat away at you. And man, you see that a lot in the fight game, man. I mean, you look at some of these guys that are on these significant win streaks. For instance, like Tony Ferguson. Do you think that Tony Ferguson, in a physical aspect and the things he was capable of doing, was that much of a different of a fighter from when he was on a 12 fight win streak to where he is now? It's not like people just went and figured out his game plan and figured him out. No, what it was it was this, you know what I mean? That just started to creep in, and the confidence just wasn't there, and the belief probably in himself wasn't there, and now, you know, it is what it is, and it's also, you see it on the opposite end of the spectrum too. You'll see some of these fighters that are on the verge of getting cut, you know, that are nobodies, and the next thing you know, they're fighting for the world title and end up winning. You know what I mean? And it's not because they, you know, are training that much differently. It's not like they are, you know, that much physically of a different of an athlete or specimen. It's because, you know, it's because everything is up here, you know. And so I've been doing a lot of that recently, just due to the fact that, you know, after surgery you can't do shit. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, that's very good point there. I mean, I did watch the whole Ike performance. I was really impressed with you. Obviously, you know, Arlovsky got hurt before that, but I'm definitely looking forward to you beating up Parker Porter. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So one last question I asked every fighter: how'd their nickname come about? So Vanilla Gorilla, how'd that originate?
Was about to head up to Memphis for like my second fight or whatever, and I didn't have a fight name, and I just, you know, maybe sitting around the apartment with a group of buddies, and I was like, man, I need a ring name, I need a fight name, I need something, you know. And one of my buddies, he was just watching TV. He didn't even turn around and look. He said Vanilla Gorilla, and then he kept doing what he was doing, and I was like, what'd you say? And I was like, that's it. That's stuck. You know, that was like 10 years ago, 10 years. And now you see people use it all the time. I'm like, God dang, I wish I would have patented it or something. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
yeah. So, but yeah, that's kind of how it came about. It just fit, man. It's just, you know, just the nickname itself. It just fits kind of my personality. As well, you know, it's kind of lighthearted, but at the same time, you know, when you think about a gorilla, you know, you just kind of, you know, you don't fuck with them, but, you know, I didn't want it to be like super serious, like, you know. And so it was clever, you know, it rhymed, and then it fit the mold of who I was, and obviously being a heavyweight, you know. I think there's one other guy that's like
Jason Witt
he's like
has
a
it too.
middle, he's like a
He's actually been on my show before. That's what's pretty funny. Jason
yeah,
Witt,
and
yeah,
so he's like a welterweight. I'm like, you're not
yeah.
a gorilla, man. You're like, you know, you're like an orangutan. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't be 170 pounds and call yourself a gorilla, and you know you can't, you know, go out there and call yourself that name and then get knocked out on your debut in like, you know, 20 seconds. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Find
Uh,
your own name, man. Don't do that. Don't do that to me.
I hear you. All right, so before I get you out of here, let me just get your thoughts on next week's UFC 264 co-main event: Gilbert Burns versus Wonderboy Thompson. You have any thoughts on who do you think wins this fight?
I haven't seen Thompson. When was the last time that Thompson fought? I haven't even. I mean,
He
has it been a minute? I mean, I
no
can't
he
remember who he fought.
who did he just beat? He fought last he fought was Jeff Neal, but that was actually it was last year. Yeah, you're right. He hasn't fought since last year. That was in December of last year.
Yeah, so I haven't been.
And Burns, the last fight
Yeah,
he
I
fought
haven't
was
been able to. I
Usman.
haven't. Yeah, Burns is, you know, and Burns is I'm gonna be a potential teammate of his. You know, it's Stanford, so just not for me being able to see Wonder Boy fight recently, you know, and the connection that I plan on having with the guys at Stanford, I'm gonna have to pick Gilbert, and I think he, you know, obviously he's just hungry. He wants to get that win back and try to get another title shot.
For sure. All right, so main event is McGregor Poirier trilogy. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Dustin, man. I think he's tough enough and smart enough to survive the first early couple rounds with Connor. and he definitely has the mental toughness edge over Connor when it comes to just working through the shit and the sheer exhaustion and being tired. And we've seen it time and time again with Connor. Once that fatigue sets in, like he seems like to not want to have any part of it. You know what I mean? And they say fatigue will make cowards of men. So I think Dustin's gonna win this fight. And for Connor, man, I just feel like there's so much pressure on Connor because you know he loses this fight, man, and he knows that he pretty much becomes insignificant in a sense to this sport and where he was. So in order for him to maintain that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I thank you again. I really appreciate you coming on. Is there anything you'd like to plug? Can you let our followers know where they can find you on social media?
Hey there.
Yep. Yeah, I got you. So I'm not hearing your volume right now. I'm seeing you're talking, but I'm not hearing the volume. Oh. Did you accidentally mute your mic? Why am I not hearing you? That's pretty weird. I can't hear your audio for some reason. I don't know if you can hear me or not. He's putting in his... Damn. Yeah, I can't hear you. Damn. Well, the chat had a lot of good things to say. In the means, Chase is a fan favorite, always brings the fight, rooting for him in life, rooting for a good dude. Jack Lamartin, appreciate the chat. Steve Ramos, I Can Ass, Scott Mack, Walla Walla Dose, appreciate you all. Calls kept coming in. I don't know what's going on. All right. Well, appreciate Chase Sherman. You could find him on social media. I have his Instagram, so I will tell you his Instagram right now. So you can follow him. What a cool ass dude. I mean, if you watch that whole interview, it's definitely one of my favorite interviews for sure so far. You can find him Chase_Sherman_UFC on Instagram. And on Twitter, it is Chase Sherman UFC. Chase Sherman UFC on Twitter. Make sure to follow him. I am sponsored by Sauce Bay Hot Sauce, so as a thank you to Chase, I'm going to send him a couple bottles of Sauce Bay Hot Sauce, all natural hot sauce. Was on season 9 of Hot Ones, the game show. But another great week, another great guest. Thanks again to Chase Sherman. Make sure to hit the like button, everybody. We'll be rooting for Chase in the future. Make sure to go follow him on all social medias and whatnot. Hit the like button. We're out. Thanks again, guys. Peace.